Everyone's name's gonna get thrown on the bus at some point. Amy's not a threat. Zay literally taught chess to the whole... No, I know.
No, but Morgan, I feel like I'm doing this with you.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Legs, and I would greatly appreciate if you would consider supporting the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It helps to get the videos out there, and it inspires me to keep creating. Today, we are beginning with the Big Brother live feed updates. Just a couple of disclaimers. Number one, I am a one-woman army, okay? So there may be conversations I miss. There may be little things I don't see. There may be things that are a little bit confusing. There may be mistakes, is the point I'm trying to make. These feeds are 24/7. There are constantly conversations going on. And as much as I try to scramble and get what I can, there might be a few things here and there I don't get, but I definitely try to get the general bigger picture of things. Number two, please have some grace with me on sort of the timing of these. I will try to have them up in the morning before 12 p.m. Eastern time. But again, I am a one-woman army. So thank you guys so much already for the support. I want to jump into this episode. Not this episode, but this day, okay? This is going to be live feeds for July 13th or 14th. We already got our dates wrong. July 14th, the day that the feeds came on. This is going to be the feeds for that day. And we are going to go over everything that happened last night because, baby, boy, oh boy, we got alliances galore. We got groups. We got this. Let's keep in mind that the Houseguests have been in the house now for 5, I believe, going on 6 days. So there has been a lot going on. I missed the day one feeds because what is happening? So the current state of the house is that Vince is the HOH and Ashley, Amy, and Zay are on the block. However, we do find out that Ashley has actually won the veto. So the big talk of the house is what is going to happen? Who's going to get taken off? Who's going to get put up? Who can we kind of get up there without the path of least resistance? And there are definitely a few names that are being floated around. Let's jump into it. So we jump into the feeds immediately with Rachel and Jimmy having some game talk. It seems like they are in this heavy hitters alliance that also seemingly consists of Morgan, Vince, I believe Jimmy is in it, Rachel, and then there's a couple other people. It's really tough right now to know exactly who's in the alliances, but again, you see a lot of different groups sort of forming in the HOH. I think Riley is also part of it, but Riley's not a good alliance member. Zach is in it. Zach is kind of irritated with Riley because apparently Riley doesn't really like to talk to the group as a whole in the HOH room. So that's kind of that first alliance there, the heavy hitters. There may be other people in it, but that's what it seems like initially. So they're talking about immediately how Zach really doesn't trust Keanu. Keanu is a big name when it comes to the potential of a renom because Keanu, he has apparently been having an extremely sloppy social game, and a lot of people are starting to pick up on that. So Kelly is somebody that Rachel is kind of like mad. And remember, Rachel likes Amy. We did see that on the TV show that Rachel and Amy really do like each other. The Moms Alliance, they're really good friends. So Rachel is definitely trying to push to make sure that Amy stays in the house. So she is definitely on board with the whole plan of putting up Kelly. And for Rachel, she feels like Kelly has been a little bit messy because she's been in front of people saying that Rachel's made all these relationships with people. It's kind of put a weird target on her back because Kelly decided to say that in front of others. And at this point, it just seems like Rachel really doesn't, I don't think Rachel cares that heavily as long as Amy is still in the house personally. So there's the heavy hitters. They also throw out this alliance named the Triplets. I'm not quite sure who it is. Rachel, Jimmy, and maybe one other person. I don't know who the one other person is yet. Keanu and Vince are also having a small conversation, and we definitely see that Vince at this point, he's feeling kind of some sort of way because he's going to have to nominate 4 people out of 13 already. So it feels like that's really going to alienate people. So he's in a weird spot where he's trying to figure out who can he put up again where he doesn't lose a number. He doesn't alienate other people. We do find out that the renom is tomorrow and that the veto has been won at this point. And as I said, we know that that is Ashley. Now, there is a lot of general talk around the house. They talk about D&D. They talk about Survivor for a while. But we do get a conversation with Ashley and Mickey. So Ashley and Mickey, they do not seem like they are part of this 7-person alliance. I believe that is the heavy hitters. That's the big 7-person alliance. And it does not seem like Ashley and Mickey are part of this alliance. So they're kind of having a conversation about who they want to keep safe, who they want to make sure is good. In the beginning of their conversation, they keep saying, let's make sure he's good. Let's make sure he's good. I want to make sure the 3 of us are good. I think they mean Keanu because they are aware that it's a possibility that Keanu's name is being thrown around to go up. So I believe that they are talking about Keanu and making sure that the 3 of them are safe. So it sounds like maybe they have a little bit of a thing with Keanu, potentially. But overall, she is filling her, so Ashley is filling in Mickey a little bit about talking to Vince, who says that he does not want to put Keanu up at this present moment. So one thing to keep in mind is that Keanu. Vince is very hesitant to put up Keanu. It seems like he doesn't really want to alienate that number. And although there is a lot of people who are pulling for that, and we will see that over the course of the night due to his messiness, it just really seems like Vince is not really so sold on that entire thing. So they do talk a little bit about how big alliances don't generally last, how it does end up being one of those things where at the beginning they're all together, but it dissipates. But they need the numbers for now, so I don't know. Now it sort of sounds like they're potentially in the heavy hitters. Again, it's kind of unclear where the alliances are at. I can't wait for the TV show to give us that little chart that they like to give us of who exactly is in what alliance, because right now it felt a little weird. At first, I was like, maybe they're not in it, but then the way they were talking about 7-person alliances, I was like, maybe they are in this 7-person alliance. So for Mickey, she feels like at first Kelly was not that good for her game, but at this point, she actually would like to keep Kelly around. She feels like she thinks Kelly could be a good asset to her, and she's not someone that she could really take to the end. She's not planning to ride it till the wheels fall off, but she is planning to take her as far as possible. So they start to go over the split and the votes. They do feel like if it is Kelly and Zay, that Zay is cooked. He is definitely going home, but they do feel like if it is Amy and Zay, the vote might be a little bit more split. And again, remember, everybody sort of has their different viewpoints of where they're at with things. There's definitely sort of a crew that wants Amy to stay. I think a lot of people are cool with Zay going home. That's what it sort of sounded like to me. But then there's the guys, Zach, Vince, etc. There's the guys who definitely want to keep Zay as a number because he's a boy for them. So it is very, very weird at this point. For Mickey, she says that she doesn't really talk to Amy at all. She hasn't really spoken any game with her. She's not sure of where her head is at. She hasn't really been campaigning, apparently, because she mentions that basically, if you're on the block, why haven't you said, oh, if I'm HOH, I would have put this person up, or I would put this person up. Why isn't she trying to make any type of deals? So she's feeling a little bit iffy about Amy right now, but we're going to see where that goes. So Catherine and Rachel, we get a little pool conversation between the two of them, and it seems like they are supposedly kind of looking into forming something. Apparently, Catherine was very vulnerable with Rachel, and they discussed the potential of a girls' alliance. Whether or not that will come to fruition, who knows? Girls' alliances on Big Brother don't have the best track record. So we're going to see. I also feel like a lot of these first week alliances don't always have the best track record. So we will see if it goes somewhere. But Rachel does say no matter what, if she gets HOH, she is not planning to put up Catherine. So Ashley and Zay. Basically, they have this long ring around the rosy type of conversation, and that is a big theme of last night, that a lot of people had these sort of circle jerk conversations. They went around and around and around. Basically, in this conversation, Ashley does say that she would not put up Zay if she was HOH, but Zay's kind of sniffing it out like, are you sure about that? Are you really, really sure? Because I know you'd keep Amy over me. That's the reality. I know that if it comes down to Amy versus me, you're gonna vote to keep Amy here. And Ashley does admit that. Ashley's like, well, that is true. I would do that, but I'm not necessarily coming for you right now. Now, Zay is definitely trying to separate and distance himself from the muscleheads. And when I first saw the show, I was like, oh boy, are these three muscly guys going to be a group? So he does say that he is not a group with Keanu and Zach. He's definitely trying to sort of stay on his own island, stay on his own raft. So again, Zay is definitely trying to do his fair share of campaigning to different people, but I don't know. I don't know. I think a lot of the girls right now, they seem like they are pretty set on keeping Amy. So I don't know, Zay. We gonna have to see. But there's a long time. Let's just say there's a long time till Thursday. You still got 3 days basically until Thursday. So let's see where it goes. So Vince and Mickey are talking, and the only thing of note in this conversation is that they are working to potentially pull Adrian into whatever kind of group they have going on. We did see a lot of individual Adrian conversations, so not too sure where his head's at, not too sure what alliances he's in yet. But we do see Kelly, Riley, and Lauren. So they are talking in the kitchen, and Kelly is essentially like, well, I know that I'm being floated to go up. I know that that was kind of the push, so I'm just gonna go volunteer to Vince that I'm cool with being put onto the block. Put me up. It's cool. I'll rock with that. Now, Kelly does say that she wants to work with the two of them. So she's also throwing out another alliance with Riley and Lauren. And she's saying, okay, us three. We could be a group of 3. But that apparently is going to be part of the greater 7-person alliance. And let me get this right. Zach, Riley, Morgan, Kelly, Vinny, Adrian, that is sort of the 7-person alliance that's being floated. So I don't know if that is the heavy hitters, but that is basically what they are talking about right now. She wants that reassurance from them. So I don't think they make an official alliance per se, but it's more of like a, okay, so will you guys work with me? Do I have y'all two's back if I go up? They do say that they are going to keep her. So then Kelly does go outside to Vince, and she has a conversation with Vince, and she essentially says that she's cool with it. And obviously she has her little bit of concerns, but she does basically say that she is cool with going up if that is going to be the possibility. So you think that would be the end of it, right? You would think, all right, let's wrap it up with no. These house guests keep going. They keep on going because Keanu, like I told y'all at the top of this video, Keanu is somebody that definitely has the people shaking in their boots. So meanwhile, Zach is filling in Jimmy. So these two definitely have something as well. And a couple of people in the house say that Jimmy is one of the people that thinks he is really running the house. I believe Ashley is a big person who says it feels like Jimmy is running the house, although Morgan is the true puppet master. And we find out later that Ashley definitely wants Morgan out of this house. Apparently, Morgan is really pulling the strings, though Jimmy feels it's that way. So anywho, Zach is filling in Jimmy that apparently Keanu has been saying his name to multiple people to potentially get him put on the block, which is crazy because apparently Keanu and Jimmy made a final 2 just the previous day. So now Jimmy got the bug in his ear that Keanu is saying his name, and obviously that is no good. So Keanu, Morgan, Zay, they are having a conversation. Morgan is essentially letting them know, look, no matter what other people say, I have my own mind and I have my own opinions. So don't think that just because somebody says they're doing something that I'm going to do exactly what they're going to do. So Amy did ask in front of Rachel if she would vote to keep her. So it's a little awkward because that question was being asked in front of Rachel. Nobody wants to be like, no, I'm not going to necessarily do that. Nobody wants to be the odd person out and have multiple people looking at you like, what? So anyway, Keanu is like, again, this is where Keanu is sort of not gaining the trust with people the best, because Zay is basically talking about how like, okay, Keanu, I know I have you as a number though, right? He thought that he had it in the bag, and Keanu's like, well, I'm pretty sure that you got me. I'm pretty sure. And Zay's like, wait, what? I thought for sure I had you as a number. So now I'm a little bit confused about why you would vote against the house if we definitely have the numbers to keep me. That doesn't make any sense. For Keanu, he claims that Kelly is a potential number for him, so he would not want to get out a number of his own. And I was like, ooh, Keanu, what are we doing? Already we've seen that you've been saying people's names and they've been hearing it. Now, people that seemingly you have an alliance with Zay, I don't know if it's an official named alliance or whatever, but it seems that he was under the impression y'all two are working together, so you're alienating that situation, while Morgan is there as well. So for Keanu, he claims that he is close to all of the people that are up on the block, so he would really have to think about the situation. I'm like, okay. So Keanu and Rachel have a conversation, and
I'm just gonna put like Kelly up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody knows that because he's been feeling that out.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mickey and Morgan and Zach.
Why do you think?
basically Keanu is filling in Rachel on a bunch of things that are going on. He's telling Rachel, oh my goodness, Zay thinks that Kelly is gonna go up. And so Rachel at this point basically is like, I'm gonna be honest, if Kelly goes up, she's going for sure. Keanu, extremely paranoid. He's like, how do you know that though? How do you know that? What's making you think that? He asked a lot of questions. Rachel's like, I don't know. That's what they're all telling me to my face. So that's what I'm to believe. They start to go through numbers. They start to kind of discuss different scenarios. And it's very clear that Keanu is all over the place. That is one thing that I picked up just from watching the feeds, that Keanu is really all over the place. And I definitely think that a lot of people are starting to pick that up. So Rachel is like, I'm gonna be honest, I think Zach may potentially keep Kelly because number for him. That's a number for his side. But at the end of the day, Keanu is asking, what will you do if Amy goes home? Now, Rachel says, if Amy does actually go home, I plan to win on HOH and go after Zay and Kelly because they are straight up going to be gunning for me. They are going to be on targets on my back. So Amy and Ashley.
Maybe in the future, because it's unexpected. People wouldn't expect it. I think you're smart. I think people, before nominations. But it was interesting to hear the people we thought.
So Amy and Ashley have this very long conversation in the storage room. And essentially, Amy is letting Ashley know that at this point, Zay is a pawn. But the majority group really wants Vince, I believe she said. Go on. She whispered it really quietly. We don't got no real. But she whispers it really quietly, and apparently he's getting the blood on his hands this week, so that's what's going on. So for Ashley, she wants to know in general if Zay has the votes, because she does admit that she does not want to be on the other side of the house to Amy, but she is also telling Amy, look, right now, you might be okay, but you really need to start talking to people. You really need to start picking it up. Apparently, something happened where I believe Amy said Jimmy's name to Vince as a potential person, as a renom, and because of that, Jimmy caught wind of that, and now he's really upset, and that bridge is burned, because Ashley keeps saying in this conversation, you burned that bridge, you burned that bridge, you burned that bridge, you had him, you had the votes, Jimmy was gonna be the swing vote, you were good, but at this point now, you burned that bridge, it's way too late, you don't really have the numbers like that, so you gotta start talking to people. And Ashley is essentially telling Amy, look, you're probably gonna have to work on Riley. Riley is probably going to be that one person that it comes down to, so you need to start talking to him. It was just a very, I don't know, Ashley definitely had a very forward personality with things. She was basically telling her, do this, do this. She keeps saying during the conversation, girl, I told you what to do. I literally told you what to do. You burned your bridge. You burned your bridge. And I was like, ooh, Ashley, you better be careful, because right now Amy's taking this from you because she's on the block. But like, people remember the way you talk to them. So let me put it that way. So apparently right now, Amy may or may not have the votes. It's not looking like she has the majority at this moment. But again, they're interpreting that Riley is a swing vote potentially. So she's telling her, talk to Riley, but don't just talk to him about game. Don't just talk to him about strategy, actually just talk to people and try to build friendships with them. So Ashley's also filling in that Keanu is no longer an option for Vinny, that Amy, should have told Vinny to put up Keanu or Kelly, all of this different stuff. Then Ashley launches into this whole thing about Morgan and how she feels like Morgan is the true puppet master, even though it's Jimmy who thinks he's the puppet master. It's actually Morgan. She's pulling the string. She's a huge threat. She wants her out immediately because she's such a big threat to the house. She's a puppeteer. And I'm like, okay, all right. Again, haven't seen enough yet to know exactly why she feels that way. But I will say we do get a little bit of a taste of that personality a little bit later in a conversation that Morgan does have. So Ashley may or may not be onto something. At this point, though, the consensus is that Jimmy was a flip vote and Catherine is going to vote however Jimmy votes. So Zay literally only needs one more vote to stay, according to Ashley towards Amy. So Riley, Amy, and Ashley, they have a conversation. Riley does come in. Apparently, Riley has been very emotional. I guess he started crying in a conversation earlier in the day. So they're just trying to talk to him and ask him what's going on. Again, Amy's trying to do a little bit of that. Talk to people on a personal level. Don't just talk to them on a game level type of thing. Vince, Rachel, and Keanu.
So.
It's always the sense of humor.
Yeah, but why is it like beef though? Like
These three, they are sitting down and they have a very long conversation where, again, they are running through numbers. There's a lot of people running through numbers, running through scenarios. I feel like it's not important to list all of them out because one thing about Big Brother is the conversation you have on Monday is not going to be a relevant conversation on Wednesday. So I'm not going to list them all out because it just doesn't make sense. So Vince is saying that Kelly took being on the block pretty well. She seems really chill about it. Overall, Rachel says, and she makes it clear that she really does not want Amy to go home. She is really not going to be okay with that. She's not going to vibe with that. Keanu says, though, that he wants Kelly to stay. In front of Rachel, Keanu starts to essentially campaign for Kelly, and he's talking about who he could get to have the numbers against Amy, who he could get that's actually going to vote to keep Kelly. And I was like, wait, Keanu, maybe your social game is a little bit messy because you know that Rachel wants to keep in Amy. So why are you having this conversation? So for Vince, he says that he does kind of prefer Kelly here because she is somebody that's going to listen a little bit more, and she does seem like she's going to go along a bit more with the group. But Vince does kind of feel some type of way right now about Jimmy as well. He thinks that Jimmy might shoot himself in the foot if he does not be a little bit careful because he is getting a little bit sloppy, a little bit reckless. And again, we know that Jimmy thinks that he's some kind of leader of the group. So I guess Vince is starting to get a little sus on Jimmy. But in either case, apparently word has gotten around that Keanu joked about Jimmy being a coach for people, which has really made Jimmy feel upset. He felt like it put a target on his back, so now he's definitely looking sideways at Keanu. Vince sort of explains the reason why he feels like Jimmy has so much pull is because he was talking to Ashley earlier, who suggested to put Keanu up as the renom. And he asked, like, oh, is this coming from you or were you talking to Jimmy? So Ashley did admit that she was actually talking to Jimmy. So again, Jimmy's being looked at as another one of those puppet masters who's definitely getting people to sort of have differing opinions. So seems like a little bit of tension there with Vince and Jimmy, although it seems like they are still in this heavy hitters alliance. And again, it seems like the alliances are crumbling before they are even really formed. It seems like they are already down to the ground. None of these people trust each other. And remember, it's been like 5 days already, so these people definitely have reasons not to trust. So Morgan and Vince. So Vince is trying to gauge how Morgan is feeling about Keanu.
And Keanu was like, oh, well, I could help campaign for...
Morgan does find it very interesting that Keanu now wants to talk game, but apparently he has been laying pretty low and pretty dormant before he thought that he was potentially a possibility to go up. So they launch into this entire thing, mostly fueled by Morgan, about how Zay is super smart, and that's the reason that Keanu would want him out. Zay taught everyone in the house how to play chess, so you can imagine that Keanu feels very threatened by that. And because of that, Keanu wants to keep Kelly as a number. And oh my goodness, Morgan just was going into an absolute tailspin. So apparently Vince is then filling in the rest of the conversation about how Keanu in front of Rachel was campaigning to keep Kelly instead of Amy. So at this point, of course, Amy is Rachel's biggest ally. Everybody knows that. They're just sort of confirming that. But overall, Vinny feels that for his game, it is best for Kelly to go. So again, the boys now, it's kind of weird because it seems like Vinny is more on keeping Zay. He feels like Zay is a number for him, apparently. So though Vinny adores Kelly's quirkiness and her fun personality, he feels like she doesn't know the game that well. So because of that, he wants her to get out. So Vinny now starts to ask Morgan, well, do you think this is a good decision? Do you think it's a good decision to get her out? What do you think about this? Morgan personally feels that if Keanu stays, this is a lot of blood randomly on his hands. So essentially, if you're gonna put Keanu up, if you're gonna take the shot, make sure it lands. So Zach does also join them.
I feel like she would keep Zay.
Yeah.
Like, I really do. And I feel like Kat would as well.
Yeah, the problem with that is Zay will put up me and Rachel.
And Vinny says at this point, look, what this choice that I'm about to make should show that I am super loyal to the heavy hitters. And I'm like, oh boy. So they basically compare what Kelly told each one of them about everything. They both let Zach know, though, that she claims that she feels really good about him. So Kelly apparently feels very comfortable with Zach, although, child, we know that Zach, he clearly wants to keep in, it seems like Zay. It seems like Zach is on board with keeping Zay in. So Zach feels that Kelly is likely trying to rope all of them in for an alliance. Morgan does not agree with that. And then she starts to get very frustrated. She's basically upset because Riley apparently refuses to come talk to them in the room. Riley's outside and both Morgan and Zach are like, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? Why isn't he coming over here? So they get really upset about that whole situation. Anyways, at this point, Zay does feel like he has the votes to stay because he feels like he has all the guy votes plus Catherine and Lauren. So Morgan does understand that they want to keep their boy, but that guy would likely put up Rachel and Vinny as well, who are probably also, obviously members of the heavy hitters. So Morgan is pushing real hard at this point. Morgan does not want Zay to stay, and you could definitely tell that she's starting to sort of have a frustration. At this point, she actually does sort of walk away from the conversation and she goes inside because she's just so frustrated and fed up. And then she actually goes on to Rachel and she talks to Rachel and it's like, oh my goodness, they're doing this guys thing. They all want to just keep the guys. It's very clear that the boys want to stay together. They seem to have the votes for Zay. They seem to be on board for Zay. And I'm trying to let them know, no, because that guy is going to vote out members of our alliance. She basically essentially runs and tells Rachel everything. And now it seems like Morgan is flip-flopping. It seems like she has multiple alliances because there's the maybe girls alliance that doesn't seem to have been fully formed yet with Rachel and Amy and I guess some other people. And then there's this heavy hitters alliance. And it seems like Morgan is not 100% really feeling the heavy hitters alliance. So she is definitely trying to keep the girls alliance in her back pocket. So Rachel essentially reassures Morgan, look, like, I believe that Amy has the votes to stay, but she does ask her, do you feel comfortable with this alliance? At this point, Morgan said that she felt comfortable at first, but now she is a little bit worried, especially because Zach and Lauren are really close. And Morgan even says, look, I've been trying to flirt with Zach a little bit just to get him away from Lauren because he needs to think with his head and nothing else. He needs to think with the brain in his head. Let's put it that way. So she's very irritated. I mean, she goes on for a while about Riley not wanting to go upstairs and talk. But eventually the HOH crew does make it to a conversation. So Vin, Zay, Jimmy, they're talking in the HOH room. And Zay, of course, is trying to plead his case. For him, he says that he feels okay with being on the block with Kelly. He does think he has the votes. But if Kelly wins and it's him versus Amy, he does feel like if it's him versus Amy that he is going to go home. So the conversation switches onto Keanu a little bit and about how his social life has been a mess. And again, there is definitely this push to potentially get Keanu on the block. So they talk about how Keanu was saying that he was going to vote to keep Kelly, but apparently Keanu lied to Vince and said, oh, that's weird because he told me that he would keep you yesterday. So apparently Keanu was upfront about how he was going to keep Kelly to other people, but he was telling Vince that he's definitely going to keep Zay. So again, people are starting to put together the lies from Keanu, and it's looking kind of weird. So Vince and Zach, they also have a conversation. Vince is super worried that if he puts up Kelly, what if she wins and he loses an ally? And this conversation goes around so much. I mean, Vince is literally so afraid of the possibility of putting up Kelly, potentially losing the ally. But then he's also afraid of putting up Keanu, because if Keanu stays, then that's guns a-blazing. And I'm like, well, you gotta make a choice, my friend. You gotta make a choice. You can't be in an alliance with every single person in the entire house. So you do have to think of somebody. At some point, Vince does say that if the rest of the alliance backs him, he would be willing to put Keanu up, but then the conversation continues to go around in circles. They actually literally do not come to a consensus. This is basically where the night ends. They have this conversation for quite a while, but there is also some tension between Morgan and Jimmy at some point in the HOH room, because Jimmy essentially feels that every time he tries to say something, Morgan shuts it down and is like, well, that's not important. That doesn't make sense. And look, I'll be honest, you do definitely see a little bit of Morgan's personality coming out. Morgan seems like she has a very forward personality with things, but that is kind of night one, y'all. I know it's chaotic. I know it's all over the place. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, because the reality is it doesn't make sense to us watchers either. But that is kind of where we are standing. To sort of summarize what it is, right now, we are figuring out who the renom is for Ashley. The names that are being floated the most are Kelly and Vince. The original idea was Kelly, you know, she goes on. If she leaves, meh. If she stays, meh. But Vince is still really worried, because if she stays, then he loses an ally. The second name that's being thrown around now is Keanu. A lot of people want to put Keanu up. They feel like Keanu is very, very messy. Socially, he's been telling people one thing and doing another. He's very paranoid. So those are the names, but it is also Monday in the Big Brother house. And I want to remind y'all that the conversation we have Monday are not the same conversations that we're having on Wednesday. So it was nice to see the feed start. It was nice to see everybody talking. I was like, we are so back for the summer. And I promise these recaps will probably get a little more concise as I have a better understanding of everything that is going on, because we are literally trying to catch up from 5 days of them being in the house. So if you made it to this point in the video, that means you liked the video. So I would greatly appreciate if you would consider supporting the channel by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. It helps to get the videos out there, and it inspires me to keep creating. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the next live feed recap. Bye!